Good day, David.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The budget is fairly cut and dry other than a couple of different things as far as for mine. The pieces that you see that are increases are the residual from last year as far as the half a year increase. This year we have to show the full increase for the full 12 months as opposed to 6 months. There are two pieces that I do want to focus on. One is with the InterGov system, online questions and answers are going to start increasing because we'll have to have a presence for somebody to actually engage the public if they should have problems, questions, or technical issues with the system. We had kind of somewhat relied on Doug Sexton for that type of back and forth, even though we understood that his role was fairly overwhelming with just the configuration of it for his part of it. What we are liking or looking to try to do is increase my permit center supervisor up into a new position that's not reflected here at this point in time to actually show that that position is more of a back-end office type position, still managing the front counter, but also engaging the public for the technical portions of it. That, like I said, is not reflected as far as dollar numbers here, and I don't believe that that's going to be necessary at this particular time. But what that does do is that leaves a vacancy at the front counter. I've got a full-time teller or full-time permit technician, and I have a part-time permit technician, and what I would like to try to do is move both of those to a full-time position, which would cause the increase. Now, I do have a supplementary that I'll be putting onto the extra add-ons that you can choose from if you choose to do that, but these numbers are the bare bones at this point in time, but that is one of the facets that I wanted to at least bring out, because that would increase, like I said, that one part-time permit technician position to a full-time permit technician. The other piece is that with the changing of our office dynamics, we've lost individuals. You've seen it also with the planning and zoning as well. Not only are we losing people because of their desire to get better knowledge, better training, better benefits, better things of that nature, it's also a monetary issue. One of my permit technicians that has been there for just about a year is showing exemplary talents within the department, and I would like to try to give that individual an increase as far as in the salary at this particular time. I hired her on as, and this is a permit technician position, not the part-time going to the full-time, if that's something that happens, but it's the full-time permit technician. I would like to try to show her that she is worthy of what she's doing, and the job that she's doing is extremely well. I've had glowing reviews from the public with her performance at this particular point in time, but I also want to make sure that we retain her so that she's not somebody that says, okay, well, I've got these skills now, I can go someplace else and get more money. I don't want to lose somebody at this particular time, especially at a year's time frame where we've invested in the knowledge base of the computer system. Those are the two pieces that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of. Again, the first piece, I have not put it on this budget, but it is on the supplementary, which I'll be providing as far as on the checklist for you all to determine whether it's something that you want to take on or not. It probably will increase the budget approximately $7,000 to $10,000, I believe. I don't have that number right in front of me at this point in time, but it is something that is probably going to be needed either now or down the road. You may choose to say, we think that that is something we want to do and divert it for the 6 months like we've done before, but it is something that we really do need to consider for the general public's back and forth. Any questions?
Just, the housing's been down, correct?
I'm sorry?
Housing has
Housing
been down.
has gone down. This month it actually came back up, but it is nowhere near what it was 2 years ago. We had a real good year 2 years ago, and last year still stayed steady, but this year it just hasn't shown what I was anticipating.
We had a lot of rain.
Yes, we have, but we've also had a lot of rain for the last year and a half.
It's kind of been
I
steady.
think one of the things that's going to play out too, so you know, Blue Ridge Shadows is, Blue Ridge Shadows and Shenandoah Farms have been the two areas we've had the most activity in the last couple of years. Blue Ridge Shadows is playing out. They're down to the last 15 to 20 lots, and those are the larger home size, so your sales won't be as great. Well, I think they're finishing up the last of their senior units now, close to it. And Shenandoah Farms, and I think Bob would agree, the lots are tougher to build on. They're steeper. Archie would probably agree on that one. What do you want, Archie?
Yeah.
I've only got 1,600 lots left to build on that.
But it's
But most of them are-
they're more challenging.
Yeah.
It's rough to get a rig in on something.
Yeah, so I think Mr. Ramsey is trying to put another 30 or 40 lots in town, is that correct?
That is the next addition as far as Odin Ridge.
Is that the one not far?
That's
from-
right next to Happy Creek.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Knowles.
States.
But there's really, until something like Swan Farm starts coming in, and there's nothing really in the pipeline. Swan Farm's been rezoned, but it hasn't been platted. There's probably a year's worth of work as far as subdivision.
There's a lot of
approval.
infrastructure even after that happens before the very first house would go in.
So I think because of all that, I think you'll see a slowdown a little bit, just because of the volume is not there. And they even have more work to do to be able to deliver a lot. Yeah.
Did they do, some years back, they took 100 acres or so, and they had like 2-acre lots? They cut it
The
from-
town piece, and I heard they were going to of course, nothing's been approved for
Right.
subdivision, and probably a couple $1 million in infrastructure just to get it there to be able, so you're talking a couple years away, I would think, before the
Said
first
something about Guard Hill.
house.
Guard Hill is one of those things that there are a lot of parts and pieces that are playing out. I don't know that it ever actually happened, but there are aspirations to have it happen.
What about out there? I think it's off of Lamar Drive somewhere, like 100 acres.
Junewood, I think they're in the process of trying to work some issues out with VDOT to be able to do, but it's only 60, 70 houses, I think, Bob. 70, yeah. So- It's good, but not good for water and sewer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, I don't want to change the subject, but I'm just curious about is it the computer system that interchanges with the parent?
Yes.
Is that working?
It is working extremely well. We've had very good input from the public, more so recently. The system works a whole lot better with the more information that we get. And one of the pieces that people have started to realize that if they provide us an email address, they don't have to go looking on the site for a ticket for their inspection. We can email it to them right away. And they have that. So the better information you give us from the public, the easier it is to relay that information back.
And that helps with your personnel, and that
Cuts down
cuts down on some.
phone calls and, hey, what was my inspection today? How did it go? The only downside to it, to a certain extent, is that it's not a combined type report. So if you had a plumbing, electrical, and mechanical called in for today, you get 3 emails with 3 different reports. But emails aren't costing you anything.
Right.
So it makes it a whole lot easier to do that.
Yeah, that's all.
And the crown bottom too, right?
That is correct. They are using it on the planning and zoning side for things of their nature.
I had a quick question regarding the mobile radio. Has expenditure 920 and 17 and 0 and 18 and then budget of 1,500. It's
5204.
5204.
That one actually may be able to be changed out. We're going through a transition with the actual radios themselves, and that was the piece that is going away with Guardioso, with the local vendor. I think we're still going to actually need that within the budget at this point in time, but I don't guarantee that. So that would be money that would not be spent if not necessarily used.
That's the Motorola.
Yes. And we are transitioning a lot of those units that we had, because we had a higher volume of employees, over to Parks and Rec.
You use a mobile radio?
To a certain extent, yes. There are areas
Where you
that
don't
don't
get
get
cell
cell
phone.
service.
And the mobile work?
Typically, they do. It depends on the location even with those, but they actually do work more so than the others. One of the things that the mobile radios also have is a TAC type thing, where if you're within a certain amount of distance with another individual, you can talk back and forth between those two. But that one actually should be going away relatively soon. One other piece, just, and I'm sure that you're all well aware, we're going to probably start hit it with the inspections for the hospital. They've obviously broken ground. They have their foundation permit in at this point in time. I'm waiting on one reply back from them to actually get them started on their foundation. So probably by the time of June, July, we're going to start getting an influx of inspections starting for the hospital itself. So,
If they're lucky to get their foundation in with all the wet
Rain.
Of course, we'll get some revenue in when they pay the permit fees. Now, we will have, we use outside, as IT.
IBTS.
Yes.
Typically, we outsource the review. I did not do it on the foundation just because that is something that is pretty much cut and dry with the calculations that they have on the forms. IBTS is a firm that is a nonprofit through the state. It was actually developed, and we've sent out a lot of our own projects to them to actually do the review, so that it's kind of a hands-off type. They're doing the review, and they make sure that we stay within it.
So we'll have a little cost there, and we'll probably have to beef up our part-time inspection staff to be able
To
to
keep up with.
keep up with them and keep them moving.
That's
It
understandable.
really just depends on what else is going on.
Anything else for David? If not, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Well, morning still.
You just think.
You're close.
Bob, you want to go ahead and go on?
Go ahead and jump to 19. I'll take care of a couple of mine and Mike's budgets.
All right.
We'd do them all if we had time, but the first one, I think in your all's book, is the airport, number 19, under tab 19.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
airport.
Level funding from last year's budget, $189,665. I've made a few minor adjustments in a couple of the line items.
No air
No air show
show?
budget for. First one there, first line item 1001, I've bumped that up at $1,200, which we've done about every year since I've been here, trying to get the airport contract manager compensation up, knowing that we've got a plan for the future at some point in time. Reggie's going to retire, and we'll have to look at other arrangements, which will probably be a whole lot more costly than the current setup we have with him.
That's
Is he-
dollars including his home, but he gets his home.
Yeah,
yeah,
He
yeah,
gets to
exactly.
live it.
I'm
Is
sorry.
he talking retirement now?
Yeah, and I would imagine it'll be coming in the next, couple of years. Nothing major there. Again, I just made a few tweaks in the individual line items, a couple of them up, a couple of them down, but it all equals out
To zero.
up to 0. Do expect a hangar lease increase on 7/21. Don't have that figured into the budget. In years past, it's generally been anywhere between 1% and 3%, and that's based on CPI, and I won't have those numbers till later this month or early next, so.
So where are we on the old pole barn still there?
The old pole barn's still there, and I had planned to tear it down this winter during basically the off-season of the airport, but we found out from the feds, since it's a federally supported airport, we've got to go through an environmental review process. So that is eligible for grant funding though. So
We still have people waiting to get hangar space.
yes,
right?
we do. We have a waiting list. Yes, but if someone leaves, it's quickly backfilled. So, and actually, just got an email. The grant funding for the environmental review is on the state Department of Aviation's board agenda for this month. So as soon as that funding's in place, yeah, we'll be able to do that study, and then we'll tear everything down probably in the next 2 to 3 months. Any questions on the airport?
Just thank you for keeping it flat.
Yes, sir.
When the pole barn comes down, that'll give you more space that's workable for another
Hangar, yes, and we've already got an idea of what we want to put there. We'll put sort of a,
Are they gonna let you raise it? The feds?
yes, they don't have a problem with it coming down. It's just we've got to go through the environmental review process to ensure there's nothing there that we've got to be aware of before we tear it down.
You think you have people with gliders wanting space there too, right?
Yes, and that's what we've got in mind for that space. It's really not large enough for modern day pole or T hangers, so we're going to replace it with a large box hanger to put the gliders in, and then take the gliders out of the cannibalized T hangers that we currently have them in, and we'll be able to back lease them to some of the folks we have on the wait list. Next, I'll go to Shenandoah Farms. I don't know where that is in your book. I think it's the
It's
last.
right next.
Is it right next?
Next, yeah.
Okay.
Airport next, Shenandoah Farms.
All right. Overall, that shows a 1.39% increase, but again, keep in mind that's 100% sanitary district taxes. Doesn't come out of the general fund. The PSF board recommended a $10 per improved lot and a $5 per unimproved lot increase, and I have an email from them. I don't think it's in your packet. It may be, but an email back in December where they're recommending that increase. Based on the 2,807 lots, that equates to $9,119, or that 1.4% increase over last year's budget.
How is their collection rate now?
It's still around between 84 and 85%. That's how it runs. That's how it's been running every year for the last 5 years.
And most of the non-payers are either contractor owned or out of state.
Yeah, that's the largest vendors. I will say this, a couple of those Shenandoah Farms lots that went to auction here in the last 6 months to a year, I've seen a little bit of activity as far as surveying being done on them. I know a lot of them will. Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of those lots have been purchased by local builders, so, yeah. Again, like at the airport, I've made some tweaks to individual line items. The largest change is toward the top 1003. I had $23,600 set up for part-time help. Doug mentioned earlier, we just can't get entry-level type folks that want to work for part-time wages. So I've taken all that money off the part-time help and I've redistributed it down through the rest of the budget, mainly to 5408 vehicles, 5442 stone, 5443 labor, 5447 brush cutting, and 5451 fuel to help pay for some of those operational increases. And in addition, we hired a full-time public works employee back last fall who is spending about 100% of his time working up in the farm, so his time is charged to these individual line items. So the sanitary district's paying for that public works employee. Also, there was a slight increase to line item 3005 of $1,500. That contract services is what we pay back from the sanitary districts back to, or from the sanitary district tax back to the POSF board for them to pay for their operations, maintenance of their community center, their parks, etc. And they asked for that $1,500 increase to fund some increased IT cost that they've been incurring. So again, that's the biggest changes in the budget, and overall it's a 1.4% increase, again funded entirely through their sanitary district taxes. Any questions?
Just one, were they able to go forward with the motor grader that they were speaking of some time ago?
Yes, sir. We purchased that back in August, I believe, August or September, and been working extremely well for us.
Good weather for the work grader.
Oh, yeah. We've kept it busy probably 4 out of 5 days since we've had it.
Was that the thing we followed?
Yes, yeah, we stopped.
Where we went out?
Yeah, exactly.
It paid.
Does a good job,
It
not
was.
only grading, but pushing snow too.
Oh, that's, yeah, that will benefit.
Yeah, we can cut ice with it off the roads.
Wow. Safety.
I see they have a VML loan.
Yes, that was the loan that was,
Municipal with it?
that was taken out probably 12 years ago.
It's
15
VML
years ago.
Vaco, it's a combination, they have a loan program, it's basically a commercial paper, which it's a kind of floating line of credit, but Shenandoah Farms borrowed over $500,000 to make repairs to their 2 dams about 10 years ago, 8, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we repay about 30
$30,000
grand plus interest cost each year.
And we've got that down to about $250,000 now, at least last time I looked.
By the way, that apparatus machine that we were following was really good. I mean, it was pushing the snow, and even if they had little potholes or something, it kind of smoothed it out.
Anybody have anything else? If not,
I will have to defer to Mike. He's got the budgets on the other sanitary districts and solid waste and public works.
Streets and-
Yeah, streets, so, we're on, I believe, at 11:20, so that's supposed to be in here.
see you at 11:20.
Unless you want me to try to budge my way through.
No. What?
We switch with Brandon.
Yes, she is. No, you're fine.
Magistrates, which is number.
Morning.
Morning.
Back to 3.
On the transfer.
Okay.
We probably have the simplest budget of all that book.
You get all the
Biggest
fun
increase
work.
too.
I should have known. All right, I tried to smooth it over. The only increase I had was for file cabinets. When the new jail was built, furniture came with the office. I was never consulted with what it should be, and in all honesty, it was not very good furniture at all. We've tried to make do with the file cabinets that are there, but it was all particle board, and it was for only hanging folders, so when we actually put something in it, the bottoms fell out. We've tried to push them back up. I've cut my hand on it. I told everybody else not to mess with it. These are metal cabinets that we're looking to get, so they should last for a substantial amount of time. That's the only thing that I was looking to change.
And just my suggestion to make life a little easier would be have Monica go ahead and order them now and us pay it out of capital and cut it out of next year's budget, and we just go ahead and pay for it, so.
That would be great, because I did shop around to find the best price. The supply room does give the state contracts a discount, and that is a little bit over what it is right now, because he said it would go up next year.
You guys comfortable with that? I can approve that,
Comfortable
but I
with
just
it.
want to get a
I'm
consensus.
comfortable with it. I think
It's 1750.
I believe so. It would actually, I don't recall.
The increase was $13.50,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with it?
I do keep a little bit more in the furniture in case I need to replace the chair or something like that, because it's in constant use. So I like to keep a little bit in there in case.
So just go ahead and order it, email me over the receipt, and we'll do a reimbursement or
Okay.
appropriation to
I'll be
So,
happy to do that.
so does the state fund you or the federal?
The state
government?
funds employees and our computers. Technically, the localities are supposed to pay for the computers, but Supreme Court gets very touchy about their computers and the security in it, so I have never requested anything as far as the computers, because I get that all from Supreme Court of Virginia. We are Supreme Court employees, so you don't pay our salaries, our benefits, anything of that nature, but there is a code section that does require localities to provide an office and equipment needed.
That was cut and dry.
I told you it was simple.
Okay, that's
It's the
excellent.
easiest one in the whole book.
Yeah, I give
Even
you
though-
credit.
Even though it's 22% increase, it's not that bad.
No,
I
no,
tried to
We
make
just
it
took
easy.
care of that. We took care of that.
It makes these meetings much easier.
yes, it does. Do we have anything for it? If not, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and I will do that today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.